Hello, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. This is Talk Therapy, Ghost Edition. Are we excited? I am. No, this is Ghost Edition of Talk Therapy. Why are we doing Ghost Edition, Madison? It's the middle of July. Well, I'm here to tell you that in Asia, as different cultures have many different beliefs, well, over in Asia, there is a belief that from July 1st to July 15th, the gates to the afterworld are completely open for wandering spirits to come and have a chat, to come into our world and run rampant. I don't have much more background to give you other than that and the fact that today, it's actually July 4th as I film this. Today I woke up and the world felt a little different. And it's not even like that's in the back of my mind. Like, you know how there might be like a like a Wiccan holiday or pagan holiday, but like you wouldn't know unless you looked at the calendar. That's kind of this. Like, it's not in the back of my mind that like the gates are open right now. It just so that wasn't, it took me a hot minute to realize that, oh yeah, like that's happening. But like I just woke up and today felt different. I don't know how else to explain it. My house feels heavy today. I feel very, I don't know. People are gonna call me a psycho on the internet that I'm in tuned like this, but like I know when a vibe is. Did the camera catch that? I got terrified by my cat jumping up here as I'm talking about this. So I guess he's coming for protection. Anyways, we are just gonna get right into it as we're 2 minutes into the intro. We are talking about my ghost paranormal experiences today. Now, I will give you a quick rundown background. Number one, I grew up in a extremely, hi buddy, they can see your head. Grew up in an extremely haunted house. I wish I was joking, but we moved there when I was 5, and I moved out when I was 18, 19. Like, my mom, my mother who raised me in this house was very spiritual. She was very open about it. She was a big believer. One of the core stories that I remember her telling me actually was kind of links to the last video about psychic readings, is when she went and got one. And after coming home from her palm reading, or no, she didn't come home, they were staying in a hotel. She went back to her hotel after this palm reading, woke up in the middle of the night to what felt like somebody sitting at the end of her bed, and she gets up, she looks, and there's literally the black outline of a person sitting on her bed after she got this reading. So you can tell from that story that my mother was not conservative in the way of spiritual beliefs. She was a very big believer. And so then, we move into this haunted house or whatever, and my entire childhood is in it. And I mean, the amount of pictures I have from that house. Now, the house was old. It's funny because I used to, in a notebook, have the entire log of, like, when the house was built, like, when different people lived there. Like, I had the entire history of the house, but it was hundreds of years old. Many people, unfortunately, had died in it. And I hope you guys don't mind a cat crashing this video. Anyways, the amount of pictures I'd had on old cameras and stuff, and I still have it on SD cards. If I ever dig it up, I'm gonna post it on like Instagram or something. But anyways, I mean, it was everything from pictures of orbs to pictures of faces that were not there, to the naked eye. I remember there was one day where, here's the thing, my little sister lived separate from us. When we were growing up, my younger two siblings And me and my older brother, we were separated. My mom had me and my older brother permanently in the house, and then my younger two would come over whenever they were allowed. 9 times out of 10, it was my little sister who wanted to come home, and she stayed, I mean, for weeks or however long she wanted to stay, or they would let her stay. And every time she came over, we were always doing something paranormal within the house. So I remember there was one day where we took my digital camera, we went in the basement and took, I mean, we had this creepy crawl space down there. When we moved in, there were pentagrams painted on the walls. Like, so we take this camera down there and we take pictures, and in the pictures are orbs, but within the orbs you can see clearly, like, the one's like a man's face. Like, there's so many faces in these orbs down there. We also wanted to be little YouTube stars when we were younger, so we would sit down and we would film videos, and the amount of things you would catch in the background of those videos was insane, and it was always voices, to the point where we ended up taking one of our phones. We were kids with smartphones, like, whatever. We took one of our phones and we put it on, like, the record app or whatever, like where audio records. We put the recorder on, stuck it in my bedroom, which was the most haunted part of the house, unfortunately, other than the basement. We stuck it in there and we just, like, left it for, I don't know, 15-20 minutes, and then checked the recording back, and you could hear full-on conversations, like distinct 2 to 3 different voices participating in conversations. Granted, that was so long ago that I don't really remember what the conversations were. I wish I had the audio, but I do not have that phone. Like, guys, that was 15 years ago. I do not have that phone. But, I mean, it was always stuff like that. I remember one time, my mom always dropped us off to school. Like, we never rode the bus. She always dropped us off and she'd come to get us. And I remember, there was one day where, I kid you not, she sat outside waiting. Like, she dropped me off at school, right? She dropped my brother off first, dropped me off at school. She went home for like 2 hours and then came back and waited the entire, 7 hours for me to get out of school, because she was too scared to go home. What had happened was she was standing in the kitchen. And the way the house was set up was, like, there was the kitchen, and then so if, like, the kitchen's here, there was also, like, this little hallway, tiny hallway, into, like, the back room, which had the cellar door to go down into the basement. It had our laundry room, and then had the back door to the house, and then there was my bedroom on the other side, which, that doesn't matter. So she was in the kitchen, and our counters were like this, and she's standing here where the counters go together, and she's looking out the window, because there was a window right there above our kitchen counter. She was looking out the window, drinking a glass of water, when all of a sudden that glass of water was slapped out of her hand so hard that it went flying all the way and hit the back door. Now, I don't know about you, but, like, there's no other way to explain that. My mom didn't have any conditions where, like, she would spasm or, you know, any motor function problems. Like, yeah. And I remember, actually, I'm gonna go through hell digging up this photo because I want it back so bad, which actually might be, it's probably better that I don't have the photo. I remember one year I got really, really, really into, and I'm not gonna put details in here just because I feel safer being more vague. I got really into this one specific culture, where there were, within this culture, there were like 5 gods, let's call them. That's not what they were called, but I'm trying to be vague and not really give out the details. So let's just call them like 5 gods. And it was always said that within this culture, now this isn't something like completely like made up from a movie, or, you know, like I wish it was like Star Wars where like I'm making up these details and this is a fake world. This was a real, if you look back at history, this was a real thing. And it was said that if these 5 gods, because they never appeared together, they didn't, Sam over here would see God number 1, and Blake over here would see God number 2, and so forth. Like, you would never see them together. But it was said in this culture that if you ever saw these 5 gods together, that it was absolutely awful. Like, I'm talking like end of the world, you are in hell, like absolute chaos. Like, it was bad. And I got really into this culture to the point where I DIY macrame masks of their faces. And I mean, I went digging for every drawing, sketching, carving, everything of these gods that had ever been found and dug up. I went nuts on this shit, and I was looking at photos, comparing details, and making these masks so realistic. And I hung them all on my wall. Well, I started with the first 4 because the 5th one I didn't really care for, to be honest with you. So I started with the first 4, but then unfortunately I am an ADHD Gemini, and if I have 4 of something but I don't have the last of the collection, my mind's gonna, it's the end of the world for my brain. I did end up making the 5th one, and that really could be, and I fully believe that was coincidental, that when I finally hung up the 5th one, I'm taking photos, you know, I'm a teenager, I'm taking photos in my bedroom, and I take this selfie, right? So I'm holding my camera, I had a mirror, like where you're at, where this camera's at, imagine this is a mirror, this is my phone, I'm taking a selfie of my reflection in the mirror, and I'm posing. And over my shoulder by the door, I wish I was kidding, is a face plain as day, and it looks exactly like one of the spirits. Any carving, any drawing of this spirit that had ever been dug up, recorded, whatever, and is out there, you could match them up and they looked exact. So again, I wanted to be a little YouTuber when I was a teenager. So this happens, and you know, all of my other stuff throughout the years of living in this house, and I'm like, I'm gonna make a YouTube video out of this. And I'm filming on my laptop in my bedroom, same bedroom. And I go to set it down, right? But I'm walking across my bedroom. I was probably grabbing something off a shelf, and then I'm walking across to set it down to film, right? Now, I don't think I had hit record yet, or maybe I did, I can't remember. But as I'm walking across, about to film a video about all of my paranormal happenings, what happens? My dress that I was wearing gets grabbed at the bottom and yanked really hard. And I was the only one in that room. There were not any pets in that room. Like, it was me all alone, okay? There was no AC, no wind, and I'm talking, it was yanked. And I did not film the video, and I did not stay in that room. I grabbed my laptop, I hightailed out of that room, and I was like, that's somebody telling me not to film this video, and I never did. But then again, there was another time where it was after this incident, where I'm like really hell-bent on wanting to film my paranormal experience. I was like, okay, I won't talk about that one specific thing, like it's clear that they, you know, whoever it is, they don't want people to know, and I won't include it. But I want to tell the rest of the stories, you know, the one about my mom and the one about the basement and the photos, and I want to talk about it still. So I'm like, okay, I can make my mom my mom's bedroom was set up in the living room as when we were kids, for a little while. So in my head, I'm like, I can make my mom go hang out in the rest of the house somewhere, and I'll just film in the living room. That way, like, it's an open space, I feel more safe, and also, like, there's no doors to the living room, so she'll be able to hear me from the next room over. If I need her, she can run in, right? And I'm sitting there, and I have my laptop, and I film it, and I go to play it back, and the entire time you can hear a man's voice talking over me. There was no TV on. There was no man home. It was me and my mom up in this house. Like, and I wish I had that laptop. I do have the hard drive taken out of it, but do I know how to hook up a hard drive to something to get the files off? No. I just have it in hopes that someday I'll meet a man or a human being who knows how to do that and can get me my footage and all my writings back. But the funny part is the whole like God thing, like those 5 gods, that obsession with that culture, taking the photo, filming the first video and having my dress pulled, filming the second video and having the man talking over me, that was all within a month of each other. Like, that all happened real quick. I want to say I was probably like 15, 16 at that time. But, so I don't think that that was a resident spirit. We did have resident spirits of the house. We did have spirits that had been in that house since we moved in. It was not one of them, and I would like to think I definitely do have that side to me, where I can sense things more than I can see things. I can see things in the back of my head. Like, I sometimes will find myself in a room where, okay, I know this man is over here and he looks like this, and I see it in my head, but I don't see it with my eyes, you know what I mean? So, like, when I tell you that, like, that was not a resident spirit, I don't know where he came from, other than if it was by me bringing him in, by creating those all together. I know it's a myth, urban legend, whatever, but, like, I don't think that we would have that much findings on these creatures existing if it was fake. So, all of that. Also, when we moved into this house, my mom got really sick. Now, my mom's spiritual too, like I said. She wasn't crazy into it all. Like, she never did, like, witchcraft or anything like that, but she did believe in the paranormal, and her whole life she had experiences. When we moved into this house, for the first, like, week or two, she was violently ill out of nowhere, and she told me when I was when a little bit older and a teenager, she told me, looking back, she said that was because they didn't want us here. If you look at the log for people moving in and out of this house, nobody had stayed for longer than a couple months. I think the longest stayed like a couple years, but they ended up dying there. And she said they didn't want us here. She's like, but we didn't have another option. I don't want to go into my whole, like, childhood story, but, like, it was kind of with, like, The Conjuring, where, like, we're in this house because we have no other option. We can't just let a ghost, like scare us out of here. Like, if we give up this house, we're on the streets. Like, we have to be here. So we sat through it, and they realized that we weren't here to take it over from them. We weren't here to get them to leave. We were just, and we learned how to coexist. Did we have experiences all the time? Absolutely, but we learned to coexist. And so that kind of formed the basis. And then I, at 17, started going to haunted locations and ghost hunting and stuff like that, because, I mean, when you grow up with a paranormal background kind of like that, then you kind of are already in that world, so you might as well do it. Like, I remember we drove 2 hours to this one place, who I don't 100% know that we knew there was a demon in this place. It's been filmed and explored by, like, big time ghost hunters, like big time productions. It's aired all over TV. You can literally YouTube the episodes. But we did go, and it was me and 2 of my friends that night. We did go, and I experienced a lot. I saw a lot, and there was one particular time where we are walking up this, we walk upstairs, right, and we're on the 2nd floor to this building, and we walk into this room, and the only thing in this room is, like, if you think, like, old hotel lobby desk, like the one that's kind of curved that you would check in at to get your keys, it was like a desk like that, and it was the only thing in the room. This was not an old hotel, by the way, but, like, that was the only thing in the room. And we walk in there, and it's a guided tour. We walk in there, and immediately in my head, I'm like, okay, there's something bad. Like, I don't know if they know, but I know that there's something bad, and I think it's in this room. And I turn to tell the two people that I'm with that, like, hey, I might step out for this part of the tour. I don't feel comfortable in here. And one of my friends is missing. And I'm like, okay, he's probably, like, staying back. The tour did go pretty fast, so I'm like, he's probably still at the last part, like, trying to explore. It's fine. And so then the guide starts talking, and she hits on how there is a malevolent man in this room. Or not, they don't say that he's in this room. They say that this is usually where he is found. And immediately I'm like, yeah. And he's here now because I can feel him. Like, 100%. And I'm like, shit, we need to get out of here. So the tour keeps going. Like I said, it goes pretty quick. So we're out of this room pretty quickly, and I think everybody's probably relieved that we're not in some demon's room. It's great. But I, for some reason, am finding it incredibly hard to leave this room. Like I said, I at one point, before she even said that was what this room was, I at one point turned around because I was going to tell my friends that I think I need to leave this room, right? Like, I wanted to leave before she even said that. The tour goes on and everybody leaves, and all of a sudden I, for some reason, can't leave. Like, I feel anchored to this room. I can go, but I feel that that's wrong. And so the one friend, he goes on with the tour. And I'm like, great, this is fantastic. And my other friend, I hear and feel him enter the room behind me, and I'm like, thank God, at least I'm not alone. And I am like, hey, and I'm calling out his name, and he's not answering. And I'm like, that's so weird. You're right there. So I go to turn because I have been calling out his name so that I can get his attention to be like, let's go. I need help leaving. And I turn around, and he's not there. But in my mind's eye, I can see this tall black shadow, and I'm like, fuck. So I keep yelling his name, and he comes around the corner from another room. Turns out he was never in that room. When I felt somebody come in, it was, yeah. And so we leave, and throughout the rest of the tour, there's like props and stuff, like there's caskets, and we're exploring a child's bedroom that she passed away, and we're in this one area that they say, like, if you come in here and you don't have any experiences in the rest of the house, you're gonna have one in here. And I don't have anything in there, but the whole time my brain's just going back to that one room. And anyways, so we get done with the tour, we leave, I sage, I go on about my merry way. I don't feel heavy, I don't feel scared, I don't feel anything. We go home, and I go straight to sleep after the 2-hour car ride back home. I was exhausted, and I go to sleep. But when I tell you the next week of my life was hell, I mean, my car breaks down. I had literally just gotten it out of the shop like a week ago. I had spent thousands of dollars replacing like 3 parts. My car breaks down. Leaves me stranded. At that time, I'm married. We're having marital issues. He's at a friend's house, won't come home. I'm calling him to come pick me up because my car's broken down. He won't. I literally am feeling the most depressed I've ever been, to the point that it was like I wanted to do things that I had never wanted to do before to myself. And I am like absolutely breaking down, and I'm like, I am praying to God. I am like out loud. Now I've, growing up, like, prayers weren't crazy out there for us. We prayed in my house, and we believed in the holy in my house. I'm trying to be very vague just because I don't want to offend anybody who might be watching and has different beliefs. But anyways, but I had never prayed like this. Like, I'm praying out loud. I'm like begging God. I'm like, there is something going on. Like, please, God, like, there is something wrong. And I remember calling my aunt. And this was a little bit, I felt like when I came out of this, I felt like this was psychosis, but it was not. I was going to therapy. It was not psychosis, nor have I ever had psychosis. So whatever. But I call my aunt and I'm like, okay, so somebody has put a hex on me. I know 100% sure, I know 100%, I am sure that somebody has put a hex on me. XYZ is happening. I'm about to, like, do, like, vital things to my health and well-being. Like, I'm down bad, and it came out of nowhere. And she's like, okay, calm down. Nobody's put a hex on you. This is all in your head. You're fine. What have you been doing? And I had to be like, shit. Well, so about a week ago, I went to this haunted house, or this haunted location, and after I got there, I realized there was a demon. I might or might not have been in the room with him. He did not follow me home, but all of a sudden, all of this is happening. Now, I've never had an issue with him. He did not follow me home. Do I have an explanation as to why all of that happened right after seeing him? No. And I did not see his face or anything like that. When I say seeing him, I mean I knew he was there. I saw the black figure, but I didn't see any details. Do I know why? No. I don't have an explanation. I know a lot of people are going to chalk it up to coincidence, and I'm cool with that. Honestly, I've kind of so much moved on from it that I don't care what we chalk it up to. It just was that time in my life. And I'm definitely no stranger to seeing things, because apparently my entire childhood, I don't remember this, but I have family members tell me that my entire childhood, I would come out of my bedroom and tell my mom that there was a man in my bedroom standing beside my bed, and I would be able to explain what he was wearing, like down to the detail. And I don't remember all the details now. Maybe a family member would. I do remember, like, the one thing that, like, was so weird that it sticks out to me is I always described him as wearing a top hat. Like, that was so weird. But, no, apparently he was in my bedroom all the time when I was in there alone, and when I would try to leave, I always said he was in his 30s or 40s, apparently, I think. Middle-aged man. But, when I would try to leave, he would get mad at me. And I would tell my mom that I was scared to leave my bedroom because he doesn't want me to leave my bedroom. And, when I would touch the door handle, this is facts, like, this is the exact story that I've been told, that when I would touch the door handle, this is what I told my parents, when I would touch the door handle to pull it open and leave my room, I would look back at him one more time because I was scared that he was going to grab me, and his arms would be crossed and he'd be looking at me like he was angry. And I always told my mom that I had the feeling that he wanted me to help him, but I didn't know how to help him, and I didn't know what he needed. I didn't know what he wanted. So that continued for I don't know how long, but if I had to guess from the stories, it sounds like it probably was like a 5-year long thing, and then he just disappeared and never came back again. But, like, being a child, like, replaying those stories in my head and trying to think of, like, being a child who is seeing a spirit and feeling, like, having a feeling that they want me to help them, that's, like, so, it makes me feel some type of way. So I guess I'm always, yeah. But, anyways, I want to hear your ghost stories. Again, this is a ghost edition of Talk Therapy, and part of Talk Therapy is when I talk, you talk back and give me your thoughts, opinions, feelings on the topic. So, ghost edition, I want to hear your paranormal stories. I want to hear your ghost stories. I did post, I remember a long time ago when I was a teenager, I had found a forum for haunted the state that I lived in. And you could view other stories about hauntings that were happening in the state, and they also, like, categorized it into city or county maybe. I did post when I was like 16, I think. I did post my entire story of that house on that forum. So if I can dig it up, I'm gonna link it in either the comments or the description. If I can find it, that would be really cool. It does out where I lived at the time, but I'm far from there now, so I'm not worried. It was when I was back in Ohio, so it's not a big deal. But yes, I'm going to dig that up, and I want you guys to give me all your ghost stories because I want to hear them. If you also film any paranormal content, also mention that in your comments. Like, I will go to your channel. I want to watch things, I want to talk about things, I want to hear things. So here's my ghost edition of Talk Therapy. This is where you talk back and give me your stories, and I will see you in the next episode.